The San Antonio Spurs have avoided a 3-0 deficit by going into New York City for Game 3 and extending the series with a victory 115-111 in a fantastic game. First, let me talk about Victor Wembanyama. Wow, Wemby. Wow, San Antonio Spurs. Do you see what happens when you keep the game of basketball simple? You got the tallest player in the game, one of the greatest talents with all the potential in the world moving forward, using his size first to dominate, coming into the game with aggression, putting his footprint on the game, and then let everything else trickle around that and after that. Not just with Wemby, with the rest of the players as well. You see that? This is one of the best Wemby games we've seen, and I don't even know how long. Maybe his game one in OKC. Maybe. I can't remember everything about the other 6 games with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but come on. It's like day and night when he comes out, sets the tone, and takes advantage of his size and dominate the paint. 32 points, 11 for 18 shooting. Only took 4 threes, thank God. 2 for 4 from 3. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He was absolutely sensational. And even in his aggressiveness, using his size, taking advantage of the paint, it made the game easier for him. Now, when he was taking those mid-range jumpers or those threes, now those shots were a lot easier. They were in rhythm. And because he established his dominance and his presence and his willingness to attack, go in the paint, use the post, now players were more reluctant to get up on him, and they were sagging off more, wanting him to shoot the jumpers. Now you got an easy jumper, Wemby. Look, the game of basketball is simple. Simple. When Wemby plays like this, he is virtually unstoppable. I think his first 3 buckets were dunks, if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't settling. I don't have a problem with Wemby taking threes. Just take smart threes. And he did not let the New York Knicks off the hook with his shot selection today. And look at that. Look at that. And it resulted in a victory. I'm not saying he's going to win every time he plays like that. There's a lot of other factors. I understand that. I mean, it was still a close game at the end of the day. But it certainly helps. Everything else trickled down, man. The Spurs were playing a much more cohesive and free-flowing offense. All for Wemby. De'Aaron Fox still didn't have a good shooting game, but he was more aggressive. He had some good looks, and he came up clutch. And he definitely helped making sure he was getting the ball, bringing the ball up more from the backcourt. Castle and Vassell were absolutely incredible, taking smart shots, being aggressive, efficient. One of the things I said in the previous game is that Harper needs to get more minutes. They got to play Harper more minutes. They finally did that. 32 minutes. He was aggressive. Ultimately, he didn't shoot the best. 5 for 18 from the field, 1 for 8, but he made some big, timely buckets that the Spurs needed in very critical moments, not just necessarily fourth quarter, but throughout the game when they were trying to stop some bleeding or stop a run, things like that. He was there, he was aggressive, he was attacking, and going to the cup as well. Message to Wemby, message to the Spurs, message to the coach. Continue to play this way. It is the best option for your team to win. Wemby established himself first. Everything else comes after. Set the tone. Now, I'm saying this, but I want the Knicks to win. I wanted the Knicks to sweep them because I wanted them to win in New York. Now, that can still happen, but you'd rather not go to Game 6. The Spurs played phenomenal defense for the most part, harassing the hell out of Jalen Brunson, attacking everything that was coming in the paint. Deflections, blocks, Wemby, doing Wemby things, rerouting penetration, sending it back out to the 3-point line. He did that so many times this game. He won't get credit for that, in a stat or in the box score, but I can't tell you how many times It looked like, New York was going to get a layup, and that person turned right back around, ran their butt up to the three-point line. And it was critical because time is coming off the clock. Now there's 6 seconds left, and they're scrambling, trying to get a shot off. Wemby's defense, his presence is amazing, incredible. They were much more poised in the fourth quarter this game, and really throughout the game as well. Much more poised. They took New York's best shot, they got back in the game, and they closed out. And they put the ball in the hand of the best options to close near the end of the game. Now, with that being said, where went wrong for New York? New York had their chances to win this game. With all that being said about the Spurs, the Knicks were still in it, and they had their chances. Jalen Brunson, while aggressive, while hitting some big buckets in the fourth, continues to struggle shooting the ball. They went away from Karl-Anthony Towns, and Karl-Anthony Towns wasn't as aggressive, and honestly, I don't think he was getting as many touches. Shamet finally cooled off from three-point land. And overall, the New York Knicks went away from the brand of basketball that got them to this point where they were so dominant, and they still had a chance to win this game. All that free flow offense, all that using Karl-Anthony Towns as a hub and a facilitator, Jalen Brunson coming off the ball more, they went away from all that. For so many stretches of this game, the New York Knicks offense looked completely stagnant. Not more than 1 or 2 passes, not just Brunson, but other players holding on to the ball too long, and they were able to make some incredible, timely bailout shots several times during the game. They were lucky those went in, and it still allowed them to be in this game near the end. They have to get back to what got them here. Again, I love Brunson's aggressiveness, but if he's going to be taking 25, 30 plus shots, more of them have to start going in, and he can make it easier on himself, and everybody make it easier for him by getting everybody involved again and passing that ball around like a hot potato and making sure Cat gets his touches and making sure Cat has some decision making in the facilitation process. Even Shamet, he's been hot all postseason long, but I was looking at the threes that Shamet was getting. It wasn't the same type of threes that we've been seeing go down from him. All these times he's been making all his three-point shots, they've been set shots. They've come in the flow of the offense. A lot of the three-point shots Shamet was taking in this game was off the dribble, which is not his strength for shooting the three-point ball. So they need to get Shamet back in those situations where he could square up, spot up, and shoot. It's funny, the guy that was struggling all playoffs scoring, Josh Hart, is a guy that shows up, but when he shows up, not much else is there to show up with him. Besides OG Anunoby, he was fantastic. Jordan Clarkson hasn't been getting a lot of play in the finals so far, but because the New York Knicks offense was so stagnant during stretches, I saw Mike Brown reach out to get Jordan Clarkson in the game, and he made the most of his minutes. He definitely did. 13 minutes, made 10 points, hit all his threes, and 4 for 7 from the field. You can't ask more from that guy. They pulled his card, and he delivered. But yeah, the Knicks got to get back to what works for him. And by the way, Mike Brown, I watched his post-game interview, and he started complaining about the refs. Mike Brown, you've been a stand-up coach this whole playoff run, and even beyond that. Nobody wants to hear that crap about the coaches and the calls. Shut the hell up. You guys had your chances. And I thought Mike Brown, who, by the way, has been excellent all postseason long with his challenges, by the way. And you might want to credit his assistant coaches as well. But however, I think Mike Brown made a big mistake in the beginning of the fourth quarter. At some point in the beginning of the fourth, the Knicks hadn't scored in several minutes. And they were lucky to still be as close as they were in that game. And I'm watching this game, and I was like, how long is he going to keep Jalen Brunson on the bench for? I don't think he brought Brunson out till about 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth. I'm up 2-0. I'm in New York. I got arguably the most clutch player in the entire league on my team. I'm starting Jalen Brunson at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I am. Now, in previous games, the New York Knicks offense was still able to score when Jalen Brunson was on the bench. At times, like I said, they even looked better when Jalen was on the bench because he was being a bit too ball dominant at times. But this time, when Jalen was on the bench, they had nothing going for them. I mean, nothing. They looked lost out there. Forget stagnant offense. They looked completely lost when the ball wasn't in Brunson's hand. I'm just being honest. They didn't know what to do. And credit the San Antonio defense for applying that pressure, because they don't really have a whole lot of elite ball handlers on that team outside of Jalen Brunson. They don't. And that being the atmosphere of the game for so long, for this particular game, I would have came out swinging in the beginning of the fourth, and I got Jalen Brunson in the game. I don't give a damn if he has 4 fouls. He could play a quarter without getting 2 fouls. He can do it. It's not like he's an elite defensive player anyway that's going to be putting himself in position to get foul baited or get a foul anyway. Like, I'm taking that chance. I'm playing him early in the fourth with the 2 fouls. I am. With the 4 fouls, excuse me. And I think the Knicks took a page out of Wemby's book from game 2. Remember that bad pass at the end of the game that essentially cost them the game? The Knicks made about 5 of those passes very similar to that throughout the game. Just careless, unforced turnovers, horrible passes, just passing it when nobody's there or passing it right in front of the defense. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are completely discombobulated. Sloppy basketball, unforced turnovers, all of these things compiled led to the conclusion of this game. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. That's my opinion. I appreciate y'all for stepping in. Sound off. Let me know your opinion. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. And folks, gear up. I'll be back here after game 4. Hopefully the Knicks are up 3-1. Catch you on the next one. We out, baby.